What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily Vacation Edition. As you can see, we're coming to you live from another random hotel room in the country of Germany. We got a few days left in the vacay, but we're getting closer to Celtics country as we head to Ireland next, which should be a good time. But enough about my vacation travels. We get a fun one today. We've got some Bleacher Report projections that came out yesterday. We've got some EuroBasket updates with some former Celtics legends cooking. We get some Jaylen Brown updates and, of course, your comments. But before we get into it, we're cruising up on 2K subs. So do me a favor. If you've yet to subscribe yet, get in there, get involved in the chat, like the video, hit the notification bell so you know the next time we're dropping that sweet, sweet content. It's good for the algorithm, both of YouTube and of my heart. So get it done. All right, let's start with Bleacher Report. I apologize. We'll be using my phone a little bit to reference some of this stuff, but that's because, again, we're on the road where we don't have the normal setup, you know? But the Bleacher Report came out. They did projections for a lot of the teams. They started with the Eastern Conference, and I was a little surprised by the Celtics number. I feel like I was leading the charge early on in this offseason about how it was going to be a gap year. Celtics probably weren't going to be putting together a pretty productive and competitive product, at least this season until Tatum came back. There was a lot of pushback early on. There was a lot of pushback. People seemed, come on, just Celtics pride, Celtics culture, the legacy, all that stuff. We're still really good. Everybody seemed to push back on that. And now, like the pendulum is swung the other way, where it seems everyone's pretty much out on the Celtics. And now I'm starting to go the other way. I'm starting to swing the other way. But here we go. This is a Bleacher Report. According to them, they have the Celtics finishing 38-44. That's 6 games under 500. And I keep going back and forth where I do think, that is probably a realistic number if you think the Celtics are going to try to lose some games on purpose. And when I say that, I don't mean that Jaylen Brown is going to be going full Jonte Porter, Malik Beasley, and betting against himself. I just mean, like, the players are obviously going to try to win. Whoever is out there is going to be competing as hard as they can, whether it's for their own personal pride, their next bag, whatever, what have you. But I do think the Celtics front office and management could absolutely tinker to make sure that they're not putting together the most competitive roster, right? We've seen it so far with their lack of getting a big man, right? We're still rolling out the three-headed horseman of Luka Garza, Nemanja Keita. I feel like I pronounce that incorrectly every time. And then Xavier Tillman, right? Although I did see some Xavier Tillman buzz, and I'm almost like ready to jump in because I was an X-Man fan when he was over with the Memphis Grizzlies. And again, this was more from like the fantasy basketball streets where, he'd get a spot start, and I found him to be very productive. Clearly, during that Celtics championship run, he had a couple meaningful moments. We'll all remember the corner three in the finals, right? But there was like reports that he was dealing with a lot of off the court stuff last season, and that he feels like he's both mentally and physically healthier heading into this upcoming season. So I don't know, maybe I need to put a little bit more respect on the X-Man, on Xavier Tillman. And maybe I know there's been a lot of attention on the signing of Luka Garza, and Keita, by all accounts, is going to be the first one that gets a crack at the starting lineup. But maybe we should be paying a little bit more closely to Xavier Tillman, and maybe he gets a little bit more shine, a little bit more run. But anyways, back to what we were talking about here. 38-44. I think they only finish under 500 if they try to lose games. If Brad Stevens, if Bill Chisholm, who, just got rid of Wick Grossbeck, that's only happened a couple days ago. But if they're really going to go out there and say, like, hey, we want to make sure let's get us a bet. Like, we don't have a lot of opportunities to get a high draft pick, right? Most likely for the next 8 years with Tatum and Jaylen Brown here, they're going to be finishing in top 4 of the Eastern Conference every single season, probably the top 7 in the NBA, which means they're picking 23 and further back, right? And so this one season where you don't have a ton of money, you've gotten rid of some of your higher paid guys, you don't have Tatum for most of the season, most likely all of the season. Why not go get a top 5 pick, top 7 pick, and then just come back next year and be ready to compete, whether you draft that player or you use that asset for another team that's going to trade up to give you either more assets or a player that can impact winning right now. So I don't know. We'll see. But if the Celtics aren't doing that, if they say, hey, let's just let it rip, see what happens. I think I'm quoting the Bear right there. But if we're just going to say, hey, let's see, how can we do without Jason Tatum? Is this going to give guys, some of these younger guys, an opportunity to shine a little bit more, allow Jaylen Brown to be in the MVP conversation, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, maybe in the All-Star conversation, right? If they're going to do that, There's no way they finish under 500. Not in the Eastern Conference. Not in the Eastern Conference. Again, I'm not really scared of a lot of these teams. Like, I do obviously think the New York Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to be like up there in that top 2 or 3 spots in the Eastern Conference. I feel confident that they're going to finish ahead of the Celtics. But after that, I mean, yes, on paper, the Orlando Magic, they were the one thing the Magic were missing was shooting and point guard play. And they went out and got Desmond Bane and then Tyus Jones pretty cheap, right? Seems to address the issues that they had. All of these guys are a year older. They're a little bit healthier, but they're also still rolling out Wendell Carter Jr., Jonathan Isaac, and Mo Wagner as bigs. Okay, so that's just like a hair better than what the Celtics are running out. You have the Atlanta Hawks, who, again, projected to do really well. They're going to require development on Reece Shea, Jalen Johnson to stay healthy, Kristaps Porzingis to stay healthy. So, yes, of course, they're projected to finish a little bit higher. But I think again, 6 games under 500 at 38 and 44, not really sure I'm buying that yet. But those are only the 4 teams that I'm like, nervous about. Detroit, awesome story last year. I expect them to be a little bit better. I do expect them to finish ahead of the Celtics. That's 5 teams. But then after that, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to EuroBasket. Giannis Antetokounmpo just giving like WWE type slaps to his teammates during the timeout, the back of the head. I still don't understand what happened. But the Bucks they're relying on guys like Kevin Porter Jr., Bobby Portis to do a lot. Like they are not a team that I'm taking very seriously. 76ers on paper, sure. Maxey, McCain looked good before he tore the ligament last season. Edgecomb's exciting rookie. Embiid's knee. Like, who's healthier right now? My knee or Embiid's? You got Paul George, who's constantly injured or podcasting. So, like, I don't know. I'm not really scared of them as well. And then after that, it's the Brooklyn Nets, who drafted 95 people in the first round this season and has Michael Porter Jr. wiling out on the internet right now. So I'm not really scared of the Nets, the Raptors, the most expensive sub 500 team in history, maybe the Charlotte Hornets. So to finish 6 games under 500 and to be really only scared of like 5 teams in the Eastern Conference, I don't know. I think that might be a little bit low. So I'm calling myself an idiot now because, again, I was banging the drum. I do think it's still in the realm of possibilities if the Celtics decide they're going to lose on purpose. I just don't know if that's happening. I don't. We'll see. We'll know by Christmas. I'll tell you that right now. And especially with all the good Tatum news right now, I don't know. I'm too bullish. Let's talk a little EuroBasket here. Mainly just these are the friendlies, by the way. The official tournament tips off next week, I believe the 27th, so 9 days away as of this recording. And for those that don't watch EuroBasket or are not paying attention, totally get it. But it's pretty you've got Serbia, you've got Jokic out there, Bogdan Bogdanovic out there, the Greece. We already talked about Giannis slapping people and the rest of the Antetokounmpo team that's on that roster, or the guys that it's on that roster. You've got Luka playing over there in Slovenia, who he looked like he had an injury the other day in that friendly. I don't know if you saw that. Lauri Markkanen's out there for Finland. I'm sure I'm forgetting Wemby, Rudy. I know I'm forgetting some other guys. A lot of NBA players are rolling out in EuroBasket, but just wanted to give you some Porzingis stats from the other day, because I don't know. I was both happy to see him healthy, and at what we saw the second half of the season was pretty frustrating as a Celtics fan, but also really scary that Porzingis, doctors were just like, yeah, man, we got nothing. I don't know. And he just wasn't able to play. But now all of a sudden he's better, which of course I'm happy he's better, but it is a little bizarre. Anyways, also, if you listen closely, European sirens right there. Shout out Jason Bourne. All right, let's go. Porzingis in their win over Slovenia. He had 20 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, and a block in 22 minutes. That would have been a good 30-minute line game. In 22 minutes, he did it. So anyways, it's good to see Porzingis healthy. I'm still holding out some hope for KP that he does this 1 year with Atlanta. Celtics get their books right, and then all of a sudden, Porzingis back in Boston. I've been rooting for that, both for him and Al Horford, which is still wild. We don't have any Al Horford update yet. There was some more buzz now that maybe he would come back to Boston. I just don't see him. I don't see it making sense, both financially for Al Horford or the Celtics. And I just don't know if he wants to be playing, as Bleacher Report would say, 38 and 44 basketball. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, good to see Porzingis healthy. I will be it depends how the Celtics do this season, but if they are, it's clear they're falling out of playoff favor, I think I will be rooting for Atlanta. I'm just a Porzingis fan. I like it. Speaking of some health-related stuff, JB, according to the Celtics blog and Noah Dezell, who is reporting on that, Noah said Jaylen Brown played in a game in China Not sure if this means he's clear for the 5-on-5, but definitely a good sign. For those that remember, JB had, was it his knee scoped? Is that what he ended up doing? Did I make that up? Had a little off-season surgery, like right when the season ended. So clearly he was playing a little dinged up. I think it was his knee, because remember when he was running around, it looked real bad in that first round against the Orlando Magic. But we know he had the offseason surgery. We've already seen like the workout tapes of him with the lethal shooter, which if you're not following online is kind of a fun follow. But he was working on the shot. Saw some footage of him getting some other workouts in last week, and now he's actually playing games. Again, the 5-on-5 in China, I'm not really sure how serious that was, but it is a good sign that he should be ready to go for camp, which is good because, excuse me, we had Nehemias Queta, who was dinged up, and then we had he had an offseason surgery. Jaylen Brown had an offseason surgery. Tatum had an offseason surgery. Like, it's a lot of guys getting under the knife. But good to see that JB should be ready to go for camp. Because I do think, like, not to just go back to what we were talking about earlier, Jaylen Brown really has an opportunity to do some special stuff this season where his usage is going to be through the roof. And because the expectations are so low, maybe not in Boston, but outside of Boston, I mean, you can see by the schedule alone, right? They're not playing on Christmas, not playing on opening day. They've got one of the softer schedules of the season. That, if everyone out there is expecting them to have a pretty piss poor season, and Jaylen Brown goes out there, averages his 28, 7, and 7, and the Celtics are like 3 games above 500 heading into the All-Star break. Now, all of a sudden, you have to take not only Celtics a little bit more seriously, but Jaylen Brown just as an NBA player a little bit more seriously, which we should already be doing anyways because he is that conference finals MVP, finals MVP, and all NBA max guy. So, I don't know. Excited for that. Let's get to some of the last bits here. I'm actually going to, instead of read your comments, I'm going to encourage some comments about this topic here because we reported Jesus. I saw reports and then set it into a microphone that the Celtics are planning on starting Peyton Pritchard over Anthony Simons. And I think I am in the minority because if you've been watching these videos from the beginning, I said that was going to happen back in freaking June. But I think a lot of people are not on that side of the argument. I think a lot of people assume Simon should be the guy. We've gone over the stats where they are pretty similar, specifically last season. Simon's a little historically a more volume scorer, right? I believe he averaged 21 points per game in his career, where Pritchard is right around 18. Or maybe that was just last season, excuse me. Simon's also a little bit of a better playmaker, but Pritchard, on the other hand, a better defender, which a lot of people don't believe, which is 2 things. He is a better defender than you think, but also Simons is a worse defender than you think. And then Pritchard also a better rebounder as well. So I don't know. I think Pritchard makes a little bit more sense in the starting lineup. I honestly don't think it matters that much because I think either way, these guys are going to be playing similar minutes, like whether they're starting or off the bench. I still think they're going to be flirting between 28 and 32 minutes per game. So, excuse me. So I don't know if it matters too much, but what I would curious to hear from everybody else, like, what is it about Simons that has you so excited that he is the clear starter over? Like, have you been grinding Blazers tape this offseason? Were you a fan of Anthony Simons prior to him coming here? Or, and this is a fine response because this is how I am familiar with Anthony Simons games. It's with like either betting or fantasy sports, where Simons on a team that did not have a lot of firepower, not have a lot of offense the last couple of seasons. Simons was somebody who the ball was in his hands quite a bit, so he was forced to be involved in a lot of the offense. Took a little bit of a step back last season, I thought. But anyways, that's how I was familiar with his games from the fantasy street. So I'm curious, like, with Simons heading to Boston, like, what was it about him that got you so excited? I do think there's something about the way the Celtics play basketball where it's chucking a ton of threes, which I know pisses a lot of people off. I think that type of game makes sense for him because he shoots the 3 ball. But I'm also curious, if the Celtics offense is going to look a little different next season. Like, are they going to have to readjust because we don't really have the 5 out, the slash and kick that we like typically did? I wonder if we see a little bit more pick and roll. We'll see how Joe Mazzulla adjusts. But again, curious to hear, like, what is the love for Simons? I'm not anti-Anthony Simons, fan of his game. But it seems like the consensus is amongst a lot of Celtics fans that this was like, hell yeah, Anthony Simons. So curious to hear your thoughts on that. Let me know in the chat. Do me a favor, too. Hit that subscribe before you get on out of here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll have a couple more videos from Ireland. And then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled stuff with the prettier camera and, the you won't be seeing like just random hotel rooms. But again, appreciate you guys watching. We will see you all next time here on the Celtics Daily with me, Mike Zakarian. Thanks for watching.